Hey everyone, it's Lisa from Primitive Gatherings, and today I want to share with you a bunch of tips and tricks on how to make our 9 Wreaths of Christmas pattern. Now, a bunch of you received this as a free download or pattern with a purchase during our Primitive Christmas event. So there's a few things in here that are a little bit different or abnormal, and I just want to go over it to give you a little heads up on some of those things. All right, so you're going to start off by reading this whole pattern first, so you can wrap your mind around what we're all going to do, because that really helps you understand all the steps. Sometimes if you just start, you wonder why we're doing something, but it's explained maybe a step or two later. All right, the first thing we're going to start with is you are going to be making 2 strip sets. This right here, these are 1 1/8 inch strip sets. This section right here, those are 1 inch. So 2 different strip sets. Now, first off, you're going to starch all of your fabric, because that's going to really help with a lot of different things in this quilt. So you are just going to line those up and stitch the 44 inch width of fabric. I usually don't stitch these long ones, but Alicia did this pattern, so I would usually cut like 22 and do that way, but we're going to do it how she said. There. Now you're going to continue to make strip sets like this. In between each one, you're going to press these open. So I kind of do it with my fingers first, and then I go to the iron. All right. So we'll just lay that flat. Run your finger down that seam. My fingers aren't working too good today. There we go. All right. So now you can also put this on your iron table. Put your seam directly in there. Since Kaylee has the iron set up, we'll just show you how to do that. And this is going to come in super handy when you do all of the units together. All right, so you're going to run that down there the whole length. And when you are done with that, they are going to look like this. So see how those are nice and pressed open and how nice and flat they are? And then when you do the other ones, the 1 1/8, those won't come close together like the other ones did. All right, so you're going to do all that, make all your strip sets. Okay, so there are, like I said, 2 different strip sets, and you're going to follow the directions and cut those accordingly. Now, here is where this weird seam is. So you are going to line up this unit like here, following your directions. So right here is where I've made this unit. I only have 2 on the board right now. So now I'm going to sew this one to this one, these 3 together, and then put that one on as well. Now here where it's kind of funny. Usually when we line these up, we would have an overhang here. So you're just going to line it up exactly like that and stitch it. These two together, again, that same thing, just line up the edges. Now I'm using a neutral gray thread because I don't want to see white thread poking through this seam here. I'm going to press these open with my fingers first. Lay it back down so I sew it right. Line that up. There we go. So I'm going to press these seams open. All right, so now I'm going to stitch this one to this one by matching up that center seam of the squares to the triangle. See that right here? So I'm going to flip that exactly on, and then I'm going to pull it back and make sure it lines up. Put a pin in that spot. And stitch. Pin out. Seam open. One more. Oh, I clipped one. I flipped one of my seams. So if that ever happens to you, I just go in there and do a little clip, and then that one will lay back flat. All right, so I'm going to put this back on my little board here so you can kind of see on this white background. So see how I have this little dog ear sticking out here? That's normal. That's what we want. So now I'm going to trim this here, and then I'm going to do as the directions say, which is to trim to 3.5. So it doesn't really matter that this is not normal piecing like we normally do, where we usually have that 1/4 inch overhang. So now I got one nice side there. Oh, here. I'm not standing up, so I can't get a good press on that. Oh, here we go. There we go. I'm going to stand up. All right. So hopefully Kaylee's got this in a nice shot. So now I'm going to take my ruler, find the 3.5, and put that right on my new straight cut there that I have. And then trim. All right, so there's what we need every one of those units to look like. That matches nicely. Okay, so then next up, what you're going to do to this is you're going to add a connector here. So that goes right down there, Now we have our 1/4 inch seam allowance on here. It's a little bit more generous, probably what we need. So if you need to trim it, we're going to be able to do that. But on mine, when I did the test block, I didn't have to. So let's see how this turns out. And then this one I'm not going to press open, I'm just going to press that to the cream. All right, so see how perfect that came right out. So now I'm just going to clip those dog ears. And this is the only part that I was concerned about with you guys being at home and never seeing that before. But it does work out fine. Here is just another little test block that I did. So sometimes if you want to test something, I didn't piece all these sections. I just cut them to the size that they needed to be, like 3 inches, 3 inches, and then those were 4.5 finished or 4.5 unfinished before they were in. So then once you have all these sections, so this is this section here, everything, I'm going to turn this upside down so you can see how I pressed everything. Piece of cake, right? But I just want to again point out how weird that seam was there. So that's the only thing, and the rest of it should go together just like the directions say. Couple other things that I want to talk about on this block as well, because I know some of you maybe have never done any applique. Now, if you just got the pattern and didn't get a kit, by all means, this could be cotton, this can be wool, this can be whatever you want it to be for your appliques. You're going to read the directions in the pattern for fusible web. Don't read the directions on the product that you're going to use. And I strongly recommend Heat and Bond Featherlight. It's very pliable, it's not stiff in your block, it's very easy to sew through, it's very inexpensive, and that's the one that I am using currently right now. And you will trace the reverse designs. So everything in the pattern here fits the size of fabric that is listed either in your kit or on the directions. So this is all the wool for the Santas, this is the reindeer snouts. So we kind of give you all that to make sure that the sizes of fabric that we give you is the right size needed and that you have plenty. Okay, now, if you're new to wool applique, one of the things I want to talk about is stitching little shapes. So like these little snowflakes, and I cheated on Rudolph. I didn't cut some of these really itty bitty skinny ones because after you've done 8 of them, you want to wimp out on the last one, right? So I did the chubby ones here. So when stitching these, especially these little skinny ones, you're going to want to use 1 strand of this 3-stranded floss, not the whole 3 strands. That would just be too big and bulky. So you're going to take this, and I'm just going to show you how I would do this. And I would separate these. So if you have DMC floss, that would work as well. Sometimes the needle helps you separate them. So then once you get them separated, then just pull one straight out. And for this 1 strand of floss, you are going to use the 24 chenille needle. All right, let's get this threaded. Put a knot in the end. I didn't drink too much coffee yet. All right, so I'm just going to see if we can get a quick little close-up. Let me know when you're ready, Kaylee. Ready. All right, so you're going to start right on the top of the shape. You're going to come straight down and straight up, scooping. And then that is the little bit of blanket stitching you're going to see on this tiny snowflake. and the one strand looks really nice on there. A 12 weight would be too clunky. There you go. So that's, hopefully you can see that. It's white on white, so maybe not. So for then the lettering, you're going to use a thicker thread. And I have an 8 weight here. This one's going to be much easier to thread. Put a knot in the end. And this is for all the words. So a quick little tutorial on stem stitching. Ready? All right, so your needle comes up right on your line, pull it back. Now I'm going to take my needle and I'll pull it back about 1/8 of an inch and push it right back to that first hole. Swing it around 1/8 of an inch on that line, back to the first hole. And you have to keep swinging your thread counterclockwise because that will give you a nice rope-like looking stem stitch. This will become one of your favorite things to do, is to stitch lettering. It's so relaxing and fun. All right, so see how beautiful that looks? Looks like it's almost braided. Now you have to be careful about your red thread showing through this light fabric. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to clip this tail nice and close. Get that out of there. Now my end here, I'm going to kind of just wind that in, some of that stitching, then take a little stitch through the loop, and then I can cut it. So do you see how I ran that tail under that stitching? And that way we won't have red thread poking under that when the batting is laying on top of it. All right, so that's all I have. It's those few tips for you to be successful with the 9 Wreaths of Christmas pattern. If you did not get this during our Primitive Christmas event, it will be available on our website to purchase. The pattern is $15 and it's just fabulous at Christmas time. All right, so thank you for joining me here today. And look for any of the notions or products that I use in the product description, and we will put links there for easy shopping. Thanks so much.